Netflix's highly anticipated mystery series 1899 is finally published. The series, which came out of the hands of the producers of the legendary series Dark, was really exciting. As is known, the series tells the story of passengers who are going from London to New York on a steamship at the end of the 19th century. In this video, we'll talk about the explanation of the final, latest theories and details. The video contains spoilers from now on. So, what is this simulation? We need to start talking about the solution from the very end. If we don't do this, we can't look at things holistically. In the finale, when Mora opens her eyes in a spaceship, we understand that the series is not set in the year 1899, as we thought. And actually, we are watching a simulation that has many people in it in a spaceship called Prometheus, in the year 2099. The reason why the simulation takes place in 1899 is theoretically the following. A novel we see in some scenes that belongs to Mora, The Awakening's publication date is 1899. It seems like Mora had read this book and was affected by it, just like she was affected by Plato's cave allegory. We can talk about two different theories on the number of people connected to this simulation. In the 5th episode, we see survivors on the ship. There are exactly 14 people here. And then there's Sebastian, who works for the system, Henry. That's 15 people in total. We already see all of them on the spaceship at the very end. We see 15 people who are connected to the simulation. However, considering the size of the spaceship, as many people as the number of passengers of the ship, that is, 1,423 people might be connected to the system. But if we must go with only what we saw, we just have to say that there are only 15 people connected to it. So, Mora is not a doctor in the 19th century. If we accept the date shown on the final, we understand Daniel and Mora are computer or software specialists living in the 2090s, and Mora works in the medical field too. Daniel has already mentioned this in many scenes while he was asking, "Who are you really?" That's what he meant. He was trying to wake Mora up. Mora and her husband Daniel are probably the ones who created this simulation. While Daniel was in charge of the technical stuff, Mora was editing the simulation's other parts. If you pay attention, Daniel says, "This is the first simulation we created when the child is hiding."
Is this real?
No. This is the first simulation we ever created.
So, these two started with a small room like this and grew their simulation day by day. Is Elliot alive? Their child Elliot is most likely dead in real life. The fact that the room where he was hiding, that is, the first simulation, was made under a tombstone, indicates this. Also, Daniel told Mora, "You couldn't stop his death."
Can't stop him from dying, Mora. Mora!
That's why we didn't see the boy's body on the spaceship. Mora probably managed to somehow trap the child's mind in this virtual reality even after her child's body died. Because she is an expert in neuroscience and the functions of the brain. When Mora told her child, "This is the only way we can be together," that is what she meant. She knew she couldn't prevent her death. Their child Elliot is suffering from a deadly disease. But Mora doesn't want to accept reality and traps the child's mind in this simulation to be with him forever. So, they can live together as a family in these simulations. We heard from Daniel what the first simulation was. My guess is that they took the child's mind in the simulation when he was alive. And they continued it after he died. They connect themselves in this simulation and forget the exit code deliberately. That was the reason why Henry said, "Your mom fooled us," to the child.
Your mother has fooled you. She has fooled all of us.
Why is Daniel trying to wake Mora up when they are the creators? That's the question. Why is he trying to disrupt this functioning system? The reason for this is that at the very top, that is, in the reality where the spaceship is, things are going badly. Kieran, Mora's older brother, whom we couldn't see, has taken over the entire program. This is the reason why Daniel began to interfere with this simulation, which has repeated countless times. Attention to this, we know that all this design belongs to Mora and Daniel. However, we can think that this resetting event was not designed by them and that an external intervention was made. I think this is where we really need to talk. Because there is clearly an external intervention. Is Henry really Mora's father? We have never heard otherwise, and it seems so, but when we start asking questions, we understand that it may not be so. For one thing, Mora, like everyone else, has to have fake memories before the ship. Otherwise, the simulation cannot be realistic. Therefore, she devises a fiction for himself that his mother went crazy, and then his father founded a research center or hospital. She says, "I was a doctor at the hospital," but in fact, she lives in the future at that time. She says, "I can't have a child," but she already has one. Therefore, her memories of past are completely fake. Now let's talk about Henry. Henry has a purpose, as he said himself. To keep Mora trapped in this cycle forever. But why? Why would he do that to his own daughter? Is he mad at him because his daughter locked him up here? But this is a very simple reason. There must be another reason behind his hostility. What did Daniel, who was trying to wake Mora up, said? "You have to wake up, otherwise there will be nothing left to wake up for and your consciousness will be trapped here forever."
You have to wake up, or there will be nothing left to wake up for, and your consciousness will be trapped in here forever.
Hemen soruyu sorabiliriz. Mora'nın uyanmamasını isteyen kişi aslında kim?
Let's ask the question right away. Who wants Mora to not wake up? His older brother Kieran, whom we have never seen. Whatever he's doing in the real world, he doesn't want Mora to wake up and mess up his business. So, as for simulation, who is the trying to make Kieran's wish come true? Of course, Henry. Henry and his assistant Sebastian are aware of everything, just like Daniel. They're inside the Matrix in a way, but they're awake. They all have a mission. Henry is trying to keep his daughter Mora in that cycle forever, while Daniel wants to break the cycle. Can you see the big picture now? At first, there was no cycle that repeated itself every 8 days. There was a simulation, okay, but there was no loop. Kieran hacked the system and trapped his sister in a loop so she wouldn't get out of there. And the person who he is using for this is Henry. We saw Sebastian and the 15 people on board sleeping in the spaceship. There were 2 exceptions to this, the boy and Henry. Because these are actually people who are not in real life. Daniel woke up his child in the simulation and pulled him to his side, but for Henry, this is out of question. Henry thinks he can really get out of there, just like Sebastian, but he will never get out of there because he doesn't have a real body. Mora's older brother Kieran is using Henry as a protection program to make sure Mora stays there. Mora wouldn't have made it out of there without Daniel's intervention. Also, if you pay attention, when Mora enters room 1011 they say, "This is the first time you've gone this far," and the protection system, Henry, steps in. And suddenly, makes her remember nothing when he pokes her with a black needle. The needle is, of course, a code, and the purpose of the code is to make Mora forget. What do these experiments bring to Henry? There are 2 reasons why Henry is trying to study human behavior in all these resets. The first is that this protection code, Henry himself, is in line with Mora's own fictional father figure. In Mora's fiction, her father is someone who studies the human brain and related behaviors. Henry, whom Kieran created after hacking the system, also needs to have an appropriate task to that, so when Maura wakes up she can't say, "You are not my father." Secondly, Henry himself needs to keep not understanding he, himself, is a code. So he's not supposed to wake up either. It's a very low probability, but let's say that if Henry is a real person and has a body, which I don't think he does, he has to not understand that his mind is being manipulated. He has a daughter, and he has a history with her, so just like he said himself, he will continue to see the reality he believes. So, he won't understand he is being manipulated and that he is not real.